listen out for those sponsors during this race call.
Darren, how many houses can you build based on the sponsorship from these two categories racing together on track here?
Let's have a look at this grid sheet.
He's starting from pole, Dean Cam, number 66, your mate.
He certainly is. 5-star fencing, the Corvette off the front row of the grid, right alongside actually two good mates of mine, both Dean Cam and Brett Dickey. Welcome to the front row. 4-cylinder turbocharged Honda. Wet conditions, low boost, he told me. Yeah, right, Brett. Low boost in the Bollards Direct ACL race bearings entry on position number 2. Francois Habib in the 23 out of position 3. Then Travis Condon leading the series out of 4. Had a fraught round here at Phillip Island earlier in the year with a fire. Got the car going and got back out there and won a race. Brian Finn, the first of the big V8s, to Chas Talbot in the blue and yellow Camaro. Greg Lynch, more power steering problems that have plagued him at 2 rounds now this season. David Radcliffe, the next of the big V8 guys there. Mark Kakuri, a big V8. David Hender in the Falcon, one of the big V8s as well. Mark Pesavento, Vic V8 out of position 11. Peter Owen. Then we go back to Gary Finnemore in that magnificent looking coupe. Ken Christie, Arthur Van also. David Shaw in the Falcon. Alan Argento in the big old Falcon. Darden Brown. Tegan Collins in the V8 powered RX-7. Adrian Reed in the turbocharged Mini. Anthony Monday. John Ippolito. And we go back to David Ramsey. Ben McLeod as a result of having to repair a car after an off in practice yesterday. And Aidan Munger off the back of the grid here. A new guy to the series. Currently got the LS1 engine, 300 kilowatts in the rear wheels in the floor pan rules class there for him. They come around and will, unlike our friends from the National Series, they will do a standing start. So this is, for me, the most spectacular way to start a sports sedan race. Everyone sitting on the grid. I touched on Adrian Reed in the Mini. He's leading the 2 to 4 litre championship over Brett Dickey, Graham Gilliland and Tegan Collins. The 4 to 6 litre is Dean Cam over Travis Condon. And Francois Habib, John Ippolito, Greg Lynch, Brett Dickey in the outright there as well. Michael Luff. I don't think we've got Michael Luff here this weekend in the white Commodore. And we don't have Cam McKinnon either in the little Datsun from 888 Home Loans either. So that's a shame to not have those two there. And Kevin Stoopman, who won a race at the Winton round. Great shots there. Nice to see the Honda take the black and gold livery off that car and go back to the Brawn GP colouring, the white with the yellow trim there. No, it is definitely BDR, Brett Dickey Racing. His dad very proudly putting this car together for him and his brother. And of course the crew at Bollards Direct, Graham Gilliland, big assistance for this guy. A Pikes Peak racer has featured in the results in that magnificent drive through the clouds. Brett Dickey on the front row. Really, really interesting to see this car and how it will acquit itself in these conditions. Dean Cam knows this car. He knows how the Corvette gets through it. And Travis Condon, if there's ever a joker in the pack, and I'm talking away from the race car.
Yeah, I had a quick chat to Travis before in the paddock, and if you haven't seen the sideburns on the man, they're hard to miss. However, he was smiling like a Cheshire cat because he reckons the pace of that Corolla, which has a V8 under the bonnet, by the way, he's built that entirely himself. He fancies his chances this weekend, no matter the conditions, wet or dry. He reckons that the car has taken a few significant steps forward in terms of pace, just getting the balance and the suspension geometry well sorted as they get underway. Nice and ginger, nice and clean, a little bit four wide. Looking a bit further back in the grid, but it's a clean start from everyone. Here comes the Mini of Adrian Reed. Through the mist, Dean Cam leads the way from Brett Dickey, but he's got Travis Condon up the inside in that green Corolla. They're neat and tidy. You can still see there's a lot of spray. They're trying to negotiate. Here's Dickey up the inside, so he makes his move almost immediately. Condon likes his chances as well in that number 8 Toyota Corolla, so he tucks in just behind Dean Cam. Cam's task is to try and get that massive power plant from the Corvette down as cleanly as possible. That'll be wheel spinning throughout the entire gear range as they're trying to negotiate some birds, some wildlife as they come through. The fast sweeping left-hander at turn 3, and then deep under brakes in the Honda for the first time. There's Francois Habib in the background. And we've also got Brian Finn, the first of the Vic V8s, featuring in the background there in his VS Commodore, but a nice clean start there. Brett Dickie, these are the conditions we predicted would suit the Honda Prelude, and indeed he has taken the lead from Dean Cam after a very clean start from 27 cars on the grid. Travis Condon hanging the tail out there in the Corolla.
Honda driving away very, very nicely there indeed. The idea in any wet competition is to get out in front, so you've got the clean screen. You're not dealing with the mist into your screen and the oil and the particles coming off the cars in front. Brett has done that, and this is some brave stuff out there in these conditions. These cars, you know, the Cam Corvette upwards of 650, 700 horsepower, and the number 66, Travis Condon's car, seeing him apply the power there as well. Not only has Travis been developing that car, but Travis as a race driver, like the colour of his car, is quite green, but he is absolutely a talented race car driver, and even more a talented prep guy. So he is doing a good job. The other one we've got to keep a really close eye on is the red Commodore of Ben McLeod. He's had a couple of offs here now at Phillip Island. It's the drag race, the Honda versus the Corvette. Where do you lie your money? The Corvette just drives past Brett Dickie in a straight line. The turbocharged four-cylinder has to succumb to the brute force of the number 66 of Dean Cam and the brute driver at the wheel of that car, the five-star fencing Corvette. Here comes Travis Condon. Magnificent looking car, looking to make his way to Mount Panorama, looking for some support. And I tell you what, he wants to flick the Trico windshield wipers on now, otherwise he's not going to be able to see Brett Dickie for too much longer in the V8 powered Corolla. But certainly some of these sports sedaners will be heading to Mount Panorama in November for the Bathurst International, the last time they'll be running that event. And I believe Travis is looking for some support there. Here comes car number 4. First of the big V8 guys through there, doing a nice job there indeed.
The car at Ben McLeod on screen, as you touched on earlier, Darren, had an accident going into turn 1 during practice yesterday, so it was a massive effort from the team to get that car turned around. So that would explain why it has a black bumper bar on the front and a few other witness masks on the car. Unfortunately, look at them run too wide coming into Honda as well there, Darren.
Peter Owen didn't have a great start. He bogged it down off the start line there and then disappeared into a bit of wheel spin. Gary Finnemore just ahead of him there in the coupe, doing a nice job there as well, as these guys are just in this mid-pack. But Cloud is actually now inside the top 10, and with that black bumper on it, we're just missing the Coca-Cola swish up the side of that, and it could be Wayne Gardner.
Full 99 spec Wayne Gardner from the Adelaide 500. Oh, Condon's slow. Sorry. Coming on through the hay shed at the moment here. So we got Gary Findmore in that Falcon, and you can see on the main straight, there's Travis Condon at the top right-hand corner underneath the Melbourne Bridge. He is slowed down and come to a halt. So that's heartbreaking stuff there for the man who was running up in position 3. He had plenty of pace up his sleeve and a lot of promise coming into this opening race of the weekend. And it's in a slightly awkward position as well on the driver's left-hand side, coming up onto the main straight, which is an incredibly fast part of the circuit. Luckily, most of the cars wash to the right-hand side of the circuit, so it's relatively out of sight, out of mind. However, race control will be taking a keen look at that, but that's heartbreaking stuff there.
Getting a good look now at Dave Hender in the Pearsdale Electrics car. John Ippolito just up the road from him a little bit there. The big old XY. Gee, it'd be a bit of a handful in this. The only arrow is that little lip on the rear there, and he's got it on full aggressive attack. The dirty air coming off the back of an XY. I'm not sure how much difference that would make, but he's certainly got full attack on that little lip spoiler. There's Travis Condon. That's a shame. That doesn't look damaged. Looks like he's just parked it up and he's gone for the lights there as well. So there's also a yellow flag out at the start line for something.
Yeah, it looks like a safety car. There's a SC sign being shown to the drivers.
Yep.
Now it looks like he's trying to fire it back up as well. Obviously a V8 power plant underneath the bonnet of that Corolla. Corolla's synonymous for their reliability, but not necessarily when you've got an LS power unit underneath the bonnet. But that's heartbreaking stuff there. So sorry to Travis Condon for those mechanical mishaps as the Hyundai i30N safety car comes out onto the track to collect the field. So this isn't what we wanted to see. But we should say the track is driving incredibly quickly, as we can see a replay here of what has occurred.
Just pulling off, isn't he? Yeah, he's gone off the track.
Yeah.
That's a shame. Gee, I hope he hasn't hit anything. You don't need to see any damage when you're trying to get to Mount Panorama in November. And of course, coming into this round in P2 in the championship. What it does do, though, is it does give Dean Cam all the confidence he needs to see Brett Dickie drive away in front of him, and then just a lap and a half later be able to haul in the turbocharged Honda. But we've had Brett co-commentate during Sports Sedan races numerous times now, and he's certainly like a cat in a hot tin roof, just like Darren Hossack was at the last round as well. Great to see him back out on track there, and sitting currently in the podium position there. It's good to see Brett in that spot. But I tell you what, every time we go Sports Sedan racing and that white, blue and black striped Corvette's on track, Dean Cam is after the silverware, that is for sure.
It looks like there's just a scotch of blue sky out there, Darren, so that's going to do wonders to dry the circuit. Obviously, when the wind picks up like it is this afternoon, despite how heavy the rain already has been earlier today, the track does dry out quite quickly. There's also word up and down pit lane that there's quite a lot of grip in the circuit since it's been resurfaced in the wet conditions, so it's not quite as slick as it used to be. So it's not quite as hard, as I guess, as it would have been for sports sedans back in the day. Obviously, nowhere near as easy as it is in dry conditions, but it's still looking promising out there, as you can actually see a bit of a dry line forming as well.
In fact, this is part of the first of the really wet days that we've been racing with the resurface of the track here. A lot of talk out of GT World that the speed of the track involved. Just looking back down now, it's Brian Fitted, Kukuri in 4 and 5 on the road, leading the big V8s over Lynch out of 8, and David Hender out of 9th in the 53. So race within the race, and it's Van Orso, Gary Finnemore, Vella, Vic Argento and Pesavento in the 42 in the big V8s, but it's Cam over Dickie and Habib in the groove-trained Eastland Sports Sedans as the race becomes under the total control of the safety car. QP Lubes, Quality Performance Lubes, Vanessa and Peter down at QP Lubes can look after all of your lubricant requirements, whether it's passenger cars, heavy-duty diesel oils, transmission fluids, farm oils. Been in business out in Mattingly at Bacchus Marsh since 1999, so they know what they're doing. And National Blind Supplies, owned by Francois Habib. National Blind Supplies, wholesale manufacturer of window furnishings, including blinds, shutters and awnings, in the South Gippsland Highway in Dandenong South. So a couple of sponsors there to keep your eye out for at round 5 of the Victorian State Race Series. Trico Windshields, see clearly, have jumped on board for this round and the next round. And of course, our great mates at 888 Home Loans. So you've got to be able to see clearly as you're driving down to 888 Home Loans to get all the good loan advice.
Yeah, it's a shame Cam McKinnon from 888 Home Loans couldn't be out there behind the wheel. He himself is a grassroots racing enthusiast and takes part in motorsport whenever he gets the opportunity. No doubt if he's not here, he'll be in the garage tinkering away on the car and tuning into the broadcast. So it's a big thanks to 888 Home Loans for their continued support over the past few seasons of the Victorian State Race Series, but having Trico windshield wipers here this weekend to sponsor the event has been a spectacular addition for the VSRS as well. It means we can bring you these pictures from Glenline TV and various other layers from up and down the pit lane. We can bring you all of the action live, no matter where you are around the circuit, or if you are at home in Australia, in Victoria, in Australia, or around the world. Obviously, we do have a lot of international people that like to tune in and watch grassroots motorsport at its very best. So there's just over 2.5 minutes remaining in this race, Darren. Would you hazard a guess that we're going to get going under green racing anytime soon?
Well, the recovery car is up there. We might get one last flying lap, I would suggest. But well done on that little diatribe there, Callum. 3 times you said grassroots, and I tried to cut across you and say, don't forget that the Grassroots Racing podcast have got Sports Sedans and Victoria's very own Kevin Stoopman was the last guy out there, and as well as Lauren Gray. So a couple of great Victorian State Series competitors on the Grassroots Racing podcast. Check it out.
Of course, you share it with Gary O'Brien, the great man, who'll no doubt be tuning into this broadcast as well. He is a tarmac racing enthusiast. And did I see the lights go out on the safety car? Does that mean we're going to go green race?
No, they're
racing
still on
soon?
I would suggest we might not get back to racing I would have thought the recovery car might have got going there. Maybe there's something more sinister happened there with Travis with a driveline lockup or something like that. There's Brett Dickey and the Bollards direct. Great support from the Gillilands for Brett Dickey's racing. And Brett has got the whole family down here, both kids and his wife here today. Beautiful little daughter, must be coming up to probably over 1 now. I'll be pulled up on that one, but great to see the family down here supporting Brett, and of course the whole field under control now. Francois Habib likes to travel with the family at the races as well, currently sitting there in P3. Ben McLeod, this is a massive drive, and of course we've had the last 2 laps under safety car. He's got up to 5th.
Francois Habib, he's back in the Dodo Commodore, but he has been racing around in the Falcon, the Purple Falcon. Now the lights are out, still seeing the recovery car. Yeah, no, we just got confirmation on screen there that the race will finish under safety car, so there might be a few gremlins with that set of lights on top of the Hyundai. But yeah, having a quick chat to Francois, the Falcon, the Purple Falcon that he's been working on quite a lot away from the circuit, has recently had an engine refresh, and it's got quite impressive horsepower numbers if the dyno is anything to go by. So Francois will be getting that ex-Bob Gill Falcon back out on the racing circuit for a Sports Sedans race sometime soon, but for the time being he's back behind the wheel of the Dodo Commodore. It's not the exact livery that it raced in period back in the day, because it has the addition of some, of course, the Groove Train Eastland banner on the windscreen, but also some 888 Homeline stickers, as well as the Trico sticker on the back, as well as they come across to take the checkered flag under safety car conditions. So quite literally a wet blanket thrown over the finish of this opening race for the Victorian Sports Sedans Championship and Vic V8s as well. But have a go at the line of cars, Darren. There's so many cars here this weekend. It's incredibly well supported, and it's great to see this many impressive machines in what are undoubtedly one of the loudest and most impressive categories on the Victorian State Race Series entries build.
Great to see Kenneth Christie there in the BMW F80 M3 there as well. That's great to see that sort of car out there. Let's run through how they came across the line in the Groove Train Eastland Sports Sedans. It was Dean Cam that's taken the victory over Brett Dickey in the Honda turbocharged car. So a good result there for Brett on the podium. Francois Habib, series champion. He is in P3. Brian Finn, the first of the Vic V8s. Ben McLeod, a Sports Sedan. Johnny Piloto, Sports Sedan. Greg Lynch, Vic V8 in 7th. David Hender, Vic V8. David Radcliffe and Arthur Bann also rounding out our 10. The fastest lap, albeit a pretty slow one in the wet, at a 151.21 to Dean Cam. So that is how the top 10. Here is the 12, and Chaz Talbot brings it home in position number 11. David Shaw to Peter Owen, who gathered it all back up. Peter started out at 12th, ended up in 13th, but he had a horrible start at the start of that race. Gary Finnemore, terrific drive there. He's brought the big Falcon home there nicely. No harm, no foul, no damage. Gary Vella to Vic Argento, Mark Pesavento, Adrian Reed in the turbocharge Mini rounds that out. We got plenty more racing still to come for you on round 5, the Victorian State Race Series. Trico, windshield wipers, see clearly. Yeah, it's fun stuff. It's not, not to be taken too seriously.
Nah.
It's just a bloke out there having some fun. Talking about that, let's have a good look down this grid sheet, because there's some blokes, unlike yourself, Trav, that are about to have the time of their life out there on track. But you know what it's all about. It lights the fire in your belly and keeps you coming back.
Look, 100%. It's looking at this grid sheet here. My name's on the top. Unfortunately, not out there in the car, but amazing to see some of the guys that have really got up the front there. I mean, Brett Dickey to be in second there. He had a really good race yesterday, and watching that was really good to see. Dean Cam, it looks like he's got his tyres, wet weather tyres sorted now. After the last round, he wasn't having too much success, but he was a rocket ship yesterday in that Corvette.
Dean knows his way around the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. He's been doing it for over 30 years with various different steeds under him. He'll be out of pole position in car number 66 for 5-star fencing. Brett Dickey right alongside for Bollards Direct. Francois Habib, reigning champ, in car number 23 out of position 3. Can't wait to see him bring the purple Phantom Falcon back out. Brian Finn, the first of the big V8s in the field there, out of position 4. Mike Kakuri, another big V8 with Ben McLeod, who charged from the rear of the grid twice in 2 race meetings here at Phillip Island. He's had tyre issues. This time around on Friday, it was a rear tyre, and he is absolutely pushing very, very hard to the front. Greg Lynch, both Sports Sedan and Vic V8 entrant there out of position 7. David Hender in that magnificent Ford. Boy, that has got some mumbo under his right foot, that Falcon. David Ratcliffe, the afterban also. Chas Talbot in the yellow and blue Camaro Sports Sedan. David Shaw in the Falcon Sports Sedan. Peter Owen in that blue Falcon. Mark Pesaveno back to Adrian Reed. Now, this car's got equal amount of interest as a V8 powered Corolla, hasn't it? This turbocharged Mini is an absolute engineering masterpiece.
It really is. Yeah, when you get a chance to go down into the pits and have a look at it, it's really an amazing bit of work.
John Ippolito will be out of position 16, a position not too familiar with him. He likes to be further up inside the 5, and I'm pretty sure we'll see him doing it. Aidan Munger, brand new to Sports Sedans this season, and is absolutely doing a terrific job learning the craft, learning the category. Kenneth Christie in the BMW, Tegan Collins in the V8 powered RX-7, Anthony Monday back to Darden Brown, Gary Finnemore in the round sponsor, the Mentone Premix. Get Exposed, I love that company's logo. It's a Bricky's bum on a pair of pants, isn't it?
It's brilliant, isn't it?
A good one there with him. Gary Bella, Alan Argento, Trav Condon is right next to me, and David Ramsey rounding out this field. A really, really good field, mixed up with the Sports Sedans and the Vic V8s for all intents and purposes. From a distance, they all look the same anyway, but it is two thoroughbred Sports Sedans across the front row of the grid as we just start to see a couple of droplets of rain. They're on slick tyres. Let's see if the turbocharged 4-cylinder Dandy engines built power plant from Brett Dickey and the Bollards Direct car can take it up to the 5-star fencing car of Dean Cam, multi-championship winning. It's like a pro stock drag car off the line. Revs rise. Francois Bibb was nervous to get away with it, and Dean Cam stays true to himself and gets that power down. Dave Hender jumps down with it. Have a look at the Mini, gets it well away as well. The coupe there. And that's Gary Finnemore. He gets his way weaving through the field as well. The Mini just looking like it got off the line nicely. Missed it getting through the gears, but a big flame out the back of the Mini as they go into turn 1. Our leaders already into turn 2. Dean Cam with Brett Dickey, the guy that has taken on Pikes Peak for a couple of years in a row, is really acquitting himself there in the Project Import team very, very well, and a welcome Aussie every time he hits the shores of North America. But have a look at this Honda chasing down Dean Cam. Dean knows what a Honda Sports Sedan's all about. He had one for some time, but it had an SB2 power plant in it. Some beautiful cars out there just settling themselves down. Your mate Ben McLeod is trying to take it up to him there, Trav.
Yeah, you can see that. Look, it's great to see Ben back out there after having that big accident on Friday. You know, he's put in the hard yards, and he really deserves to be up the front as well. It's great to watch all of these guys have a go. Even Johnny Polito, you know, he had a bit of a problem with the rear wing the other day, which he's managed to get on top of, and he's pointing right up to the front as well.
It's car 51, and obviously the Lap of the Gods livery on that car. It's not that car, and Greg Lynch, that's not even a HRT car. That is a tribute car as well, built as a 4-pan sports van.
He's got a bit of a problem there.
Out of the back of that.
So I wonder whether he's had a bit of a tap on the back side of the car, because
yeah, that's not looking good. That looks like it's oil coming out of the middle of the car, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And we're also getting a little bit of rain coming down there as well. Geez, Ben's car, I've always liked the way he prepares that car. He prepares it within a millimetre of its life with the guys at Maverick Performance, Jared McLeod and the crew there. But I do like the black bumper. It looks like a Gardner. It looks like a Gardner supercar.
When I saw it come in behind me yesterday, and I went, that looks very, very aggressive with the black bar. I reckon it looks tougher.
Oh, and I think it's actually matched Ben's attitude towards it this year as opposed to the last couple of seasons. He's getting a little bit more aggressive out there on track and wants to get some more results. Here's Chas Talbot. And yeah, if you used to watch Formula 5000 in the 70s, this is exactly that same bloke. And now we are getting big rainfall. This is going to hurt the guys on slicks. We're just gone 11 minutes left in this race, and the rain is sweeping right across the property. This is going to be a very testing time. That smoke is increasing coming out of the back of Greg Lynch's car.
Yeah, I think Lynchy might have to pull over on this one, or he's going to end up getting mechanical black flag. But look,
So we are hearing through the communication channels that Greg Lynch will be being delivered a black flag. Just watching the officials down at the start line to see them get that prepared for him. So they're not doing anything yet. But let's look to the top of the hill here in the wet. There's coming around. There's John Polito going through on David Hender. So the big heavy Falcon, if it's on slicks, and I'm going to suggest it is, it will be the first one to start suffering with really no aero package. Ippolito running wide there as well. And the 51 following. Chas Talbot goes round trying to get the power down in the Camaro, and he'll have blocked half the track coming around through turn 11. So if anyone's trying to flow the car around onto the main straight, they'll come across a yellow and blue Camaro stricken on the inside of the track. 3 wide. The rain coming down now. This is some big V8s going head to head with each other, and there is reality right there on the screen. Trav, how much would you like to be out there now?
Look, to be honest, I think if they've got the temperature in the tyres, they'll still be able to hold on and hold that sort of pace. I wouldn't be too concerned about it at this stage, as long as they got those tyres up to temperature.
What's your thought on the human condition out there at the moment? How would you be gritting your teeth and just getting on with it?
Hey, I love it. I don't care. I'm happy to drive sideways. I'm happy just to drive.
Chas Talbot replay there, loops it round the 12, just off to driver's left. There he is, hasn't been able to get back on. Yeah, once you get out in that wet grass, there's no way if you've got slicks on, you're going to wheel spin your way back on. All you're going to do is waste fuel and clutch. John Ippolito's gone
out in the
off
kitty litter
at turn 2, exit of 2 by the looks of things. No, that's actually turn 4, coming up to turn 4 there. So John manages to get it back on. He's lost a whole handful of spots down there, and that would not have been a nice ride to head off down there. But gathers it back up, and number 42 stays in the game.
Yeah, that rain is starting to come in pretty hard now, so I think you just got to keep that in mind and hold off the pedal a little bit and try and just maintain your spot.
It's all about seeing out the next 8 minutes and 9 seconds, isn't it? It's all about just riding it through. Ben taking it very easily under brakes down into MG. There's Greg Lynch. Now you can hide the smoke coming out of the back of that to say it's spray at this point in time. But Dean Cam leading Francois Habib, Brett Dickey, Brian Finn, Ben McLeod, Greg Lynch, John Ippolito. Car number 44 on screen now. That's John. So that's Arthur Van Orso. Peter Owen there as well, and they're coming around, and that's Argento in the number 10. So we're looking 13, 14, 15, 16 on the road here. BMW coming up in sports sedans. It's been a while since Shane Woodman, who won the championship at 2014 in his BMW. Great to see another BMW returning to the sports sedan ranks in the Groove Train Eastland QP Lubes National Blind Supplies Victorian Sports Sedan Championship. Doing a terrific job. Now the sun's coming out. There you go.
That's typical Melbourne for you, isn't it? So
and we're not even near Melbourne. We're in Gippsland.
You just gotta hope and wait and don't do anything rash.
Well, that's it, isn't it? It's all about reading what's in front, directly in front of you sometimes, and going and responding to it. As we've got this group here being led by Gary Finnemore in position number 13. He's got Argento, Owen, Christie in that BMW I just touched on. Great to see a BMW back out in the sports sedans, the BMW F80 M3, 3 litre. Car number 154 running wide there on his P plates, but the BM Performance Centre emblazoned down the side here. We've got Argento going through on Gary Finnemore, the round sponsor, Mentone Premix for the big V8s. And coming into turn 4, and a big wide Falcon coupe with a BMW. And we're spanning at least 3 decades or 4 decades between those two competitors, aren't we? Those two vehicles anyway.
He's doing really well in the BMW. You know, I've been watching him. Obviously, he's joined the field, and he's really respectful driver and respectful in the pits. It's really good to have him on board.
That's what we were saying about Ben McLeod about 2 seasons ago, and he's just turned up the wick and wants to start winning races, doesn't he?
yeah. When you get the thirst, it's there, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah, you get the sniff of that podium, and it's like all the politeness goes out the window. We're racing now, and full credit. That's what you come to the track for. That sort of thing. But getting to have a bit of a look back through the Vic V8's field. He's car number 39. We're just sort of looking back through the field, and And that's Mark Kakuri, always features in the results. And I think it's Vella just in front of Mark Kakuri. No, it's Arthur Van also. There's Lynch continuing on his way. I haven't seen any black flag come out for him. We heard the officials talking about it in the background. They're obviously observing that car.
It's going pretty wide.
It's loose down at turn 1, and Mark Kakuri just hanging on it. Van also there, and they've got Johnny Polito in the mix there as well.
He just wound up those 2 cars on the inside on turn 1, and it was a really good move. He went pretty deep under brakes on that.
Well, there you go. There's a more of a floor pan sports sedan up against the Vic V8, which is an ex-Commodore Cup type of arrangement. And wow, the Auto Cure car got a little bit lively underfoot, exiting turn number 2 that time, and just gathering it all back up. Johnny Polito doing the sponsors proud. He's got the Trico windshield wipers absolutely working overtime out there. They're probably hotter than the tyres at the moment because there's not a whole lot of rain down there actually at the moment. Ben McLeod now, and he's currently sitting in P5 there. David Hender was in behind, but that looks like Ratcliffe that's weighing in on that there. And I've got to say, I don't think I would ever have said it because I thought that red Commodore always looked awesome, but I'm really liking that black front bumper.
Yeah, I think it looks great. Benny, we decided you need to change it.
Yeah, that's it. The executive decision's been made. There's nothing worse than a sports sedan driver become commentator and telling the rest of the field exactly how they need to dress their car up. I reckon yours should be bright green and it should be a Corolla. Oh,
that's
exactly
a good
what
idea.
it is.
We should make
Who
it
thought of
wider.
Down the straight goes Ben McLeod, featuring in the points for this series. Here is that Mini we touched on in the warm-up lap, actually. And I tell you what, you could just about fit that thing under the bonnet of the Falcon chasing him behind, which is the
Dave Shaw.
Dave Shaw on the 94. Have a look at that number 6, just climb the hill. Big shout out to Chris Neal and Ron Simmons and all those guys that used to race Super Minis back in the era. 55 or something years of sports sedans and Minis have featured in the many early years, right back down through the fields.
I always worry about coming up beside the Mini. I reckon he's going to burn my paint off someday as I go past. Like, those flames are amazing. It looks great.
How to go 5% faster, have a big flame out the side. You want to invest in one, mate, you should get one.
I tried it, but I stuck it in the engine bay area.
Yes, you did, and that detracted a whole lot of attention. The slower you went, the more attention it got. Going to draw alongside here. This is the aptly named David versus Goliath battle, and the turbocharged. Ooh, that looks like one of the Commodores.
It looks like Lynchy has obviously come in and hasn't been able to have a look at that oil problem.
Just looking at his too, he's lit up as in pit lane there. So car 22 will play no further part in race 2 for the weekend. A guy that has won races here in sports sedan trim and was hoping to gather points this round. Have a look at this now. This is a great battle. We've got Francois Bibb and Brett Dickey. Brett will wind it up. The turbocharged car comes into a straight line in his own words. And we can quote him. They have running a very conservative boost program here this weekend. They want to get the car through 3 races, and it's all about the wheel spacer. And I mean the head between the headrest and the steering wheel. And Brett's having to do all the thinking. Just watching that coupe running out wide there, just putting a lap on him. So a couple of purpose-built race cars here. This Prelude has been absolutely magic up until this weekend for a couple of seasons, running in the black and gold livery. Now gone back to what I like to call the Braun GP livery that they've run with this car in the early days, and running very nicely indeed. In fact, the Bollard's Direct sponsorship sticker on the side in blue stands out really well on the white background there.
It's good to see Darden here too in his Datsun. It's you know, he's not one of the front runners, but he's always turning up and having a go, and it's great to see. A
lot of championships in the under 2 litre category has Darden. So actually, if you think about it, he's probably on equal sort of championship standing as our race leader Dean Cam as far as a class
per category
is concerned. On pound for pound type of racing. That's certainly that. We're down to 50 seconds on the time certain clock for this, so it'll be plus a lap. But the sun is now sort of baking at the bottom end of turn 2 where it was belting down, and the track's all dry again, Trav.
Yeah, it's dried up very quickly. It is very windy out there, so it's good to see. Dean Cam just going across the start line again. He's got a fairly big gap out to Brett Dickey now.
Here's a pretty aggressive bit of the race here. This is the BMW coming under fire now. This is Ken Christie, and then the 44 logging in behind Ken there at the moment. So this is a ripping battle in this pack. A couple of the Vic V8s really mixed up in it. Pez coming through there, and then the Argento Falcon. But the BMW coming out of Siberia, it is absolutely rapid climbing the hill and through the right and left, and then a hard left-hander as we go back onto the main straight here. That's a position change there between Brian Finn and Ben McLeod, and that was done on raw straight line handling. That was some good run out of MG, but Ben McLeod, he is not walking away from that at the moment. He is right up underneath the rear bumper, and this is a couple of Commodores going at it very hard, pushing very hard in these changing conditions. Really got to get your head around when it rains and then the sun comes out. Demands some massive concentration, doesn't it?
100% it does. Ben is a good little battle here. Bit of a swap over, and Finn might come back around him again.
Yeah, Brian Finn loves to have a race too. So these very two like-minded Commodore racers, and they're enjoying their time out there. The Coupe just waving them through. Thanks, guys. Just I'll run my race here in the Vic V8s in car number 5.
What a beautifully turned out car that is.
And
also.
Ramsey, yeah, it is, isn't it? They do when you've got a car of historic significance, to go that little bit extra is appreciated by everyone, isn't it? So last lap board has been given to Dean Cam. He has got a 9.3 second lead over Brett Dickey. Brett Dickey has now eased the lead out over Francois Habib by a couple of seconds there as well. Ben McLeod, quite a big gap back now to Ben and Brian Finn, who are having their very own battle as they go past the stricken Chas Talbot. And this Brock VK.
Ben's got an issue. He's got a flat tyre again.
That's not good.
Is he pulling it up? Yeah, he's managed to pull it up. And
gee, I tell you what, Glenn Seaton and
staying
Greg
on the
Murphy
pace.
will have watched that and gone, gee, years ago we planted ourselves well and truly in the wall there.
Oh, no, just stay off. No.
Oh, love tap. That's
a little
broken
tap.
the end plate off the wing.
I think Ben's suffered from a flat tyre again there.
Was that a wide open throttle stuck there maybe? I don't know, but he kept going through the sandpit, didn't he? He wasn't going to beach it. Here's our race leader for 5-star fencing, Melbourne-based racer, multiple sports sedan champion. He's been running this car for a long, long time. Had the Honda before that, and of course ran an RX-7 and a Commodore in club cars and improved production in the last century. But Dean Cam, an absolute legend in Victorian motorsport and a great guy to boot, gives a lot to the sport. And let me tell you, just by running this car at a racetrack, he brings a whole lot to it as Ben McLeod tries to get back on track as Cam takes the victory and takes race number 2 for the weekend.
Yeah, that's a great drive by Dean.
Travis, right alongside me, where do you reckon you would have featured, mate, apart from obviously taking the champagne out in front?
Look, I don't think I'm going to be able to catch Dean Cam. That's a rocket ship in the dry, that's for sure. Look, I would have liked to have finished in the top 5 there for sure.
Tell you what, Brett Dickey, if he's telling me the truth, he's running low boost, and he's got that running well. When he starts to ease a bit of boost into it, it's going to be something else, isn't it?
Yeah. Look, I think reliability with that car is what's going to really get that up the front constantly. We all know that turbo cars can create problems, especially in hotter conditions. But having it settled and handling better, and it's just going to make it faster and more reliable by keeping the boost low.
Geez, wouldn't you love to go over to Pikes Peak and join him with a lap up that or a run up that hill for a year or so?
Mate, well, I must say when I overtook him yesterday in the rain, I went, why are they paying him and not me?
Well, we know the Project Import people watch on from California, so a big shout out to them. But Brett's driven the Honda home into P2, Francois Habib into 3, Brian Finn into 4, Dave Hender in the big Falcon car number 53, ultimately home there in 5th. And sadly, Ben hasn't managed to get the car and ease it across the line, so that'll be a DNF.
That's a DNF,
and
unfortunately.
That's
only
sad.
It's only 30 metres, 40 metres difference. Oh, racing can just kill you some days.
That's the heartache, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
Well, Trav, you are going to obviously head home and mend the heartache of yesterday and get that engine out and aim at being a Calder in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, look, part of the healing process is getting that motor fixed, so our aim is definitely to be at Calder, and again, we'll definitely be at Bathurst. We'll do whatever we have to do financially to make it happen. If I've got to work 100 hours a week, then we'll work 100 hours a week.
And I do, like I said, get on that Soda Blast YouTube channel and have a look at what those guys get out there. Buy one of his hoodies. I'm not sure whether you've got any stock of them.
Hoodies and T-shirts we're doing. Which all profits actually go to the Rising Sun charity, which is for PTSD returned veterans. So yeah, reach out if you want to get one of those. We try and help as much as we can.
Trav, thank you very much for joining us. We'll have a look at the grid or the result sheet before it goes. Cam, Dickey, Habib, Finn, Hender, Ippolito, David, Ratcliffe, and that was it. It's disappeared off our timing screen. Sports Sedans will be back on later again today at 3:20 p.m. Until then, Travis, all the very best, mate.
Thanks
We're
for
getting that
having me,
engine
Darren.
fixed, and we'll see you at Calder, and we'll be cheering you on when you head to the mountain in November.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks for that. We'll be back in just a couple of moments, and we have got Trico windshield wipers pit lane now empty of Victorian Sports Sedans and the big V8 series as they make their way out onto track. It's a big thanks to Dan McCarthy and Emma Dean bringing us some exciting racing right the way across this weekend with saloon cars. A fantastic precursor to the Sports Sedans and the big bangers about to thump their way around this magnificent landscape here at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. I'm Darren Smith. Right alongside is Callum Brannigan. Great sunshine at last to have the big bangers on a bit of dry track.
Absolutely, Darren. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to everybody around the circuit and tuning in from home on your comfy sofas, watching the Blendline TV, the live coverage coming to you from round 5 of the VSRS. This event brought to you by Trico windshield wipers. See clearly, and it's also a big thanks to our category partner in 888 Home Loans. Looking over the shoulder right now of the car of Ben McLeod. He's had a bit of an up and down weekend in that red VY Commodore. It's now sporting a black front bumper bar. Not that you can see it from this vantage point, but it's an absolutely brilliant live picture brought to you by Blendline TV, and it's fantastic to see grassroots motorsport being brought to you in such clarity and such a unique perspective as well. But we've got a full field, not only Victorian Sports Sedans, but also the big V8s for this final race of the weekend for this event, it should be said, Darren. So we've got plenty in store coming your way, and as you said, the sunshine is out and the drivers will be very happy to see the blue skies and the dry track for this race.
For the Groove Train, Eastland, QP Lubes and National Blind Supplies, the grid looks like this. Dean Cam and Brett Dickey have had a front row lockout here this weekend. Francois Habib in his Commodore, then it's Brian Finn in a Commodore, Mark Curry also in a Commodore, Ben McLeod in a Commodore, Greg Lynch in a Commodore, and at last David Hender in his XY Falcon out there as well. David Ratcliffe after van also. Chaz Talbot in car number 12, that venerable Camaro, the yellow and blue car. He spun at turn 11 and parked it up on the grass last race out. David Shaw's next to Peter Aaron in the blue Falcon. John Ippolito in the number 97, looking for a better result in the dry. Adrian Reed in that turbocharged, magnificent little Mini. What an engineering masterpiece. Crams a whole lot of go gear inside that little chassis. Kenneth Christie in his BMW. Adrian Munger in the Datsun or Nissan Anthony Monday. To Tegan Collins in the RX-7 car number 87. Gary Finnemore for Mentone Premix, the round sponsor for the big V8. Darden Brown, Alan Argento, Gary Bella, David Ramsey. Sadly, the green Corolla of Travis Condon won't be with us on track, but gee, it was great to have the smiling face, even after a tough gig yesterday. Travis Condon calling the race with me earlier on today. Can't wait for the revs to arrive. Chas Talbot has taken up the position off the back of the field. He was mentioned down there to be in 11th, but Chaz just choosing to come from rear of the grid. Let's cast our eyes to the front because that's where the action will be the turbocharged Dandy Engines built Bollards Direct Honda versus the 5-star Fencing and Gates outfit of Dean Cam, that massive Corvette. It just gets away off the line. I say it at the start of every Vic Sports Sedan race. It's like a pro stocker. Let's see how Dean gets away with it now. Watch the clutch take up, revs rise. Dicky looking to go hard at it. He gets a good clutch take up, but there it is. It just transfers its weight and off it goes. Ippolito jumps away brilliantly there as well. The Black Commodore is going to go into P2 as they head down into turn 1 for the first time. The little turbo Honda, difficult to get off the line, but Brett Dickey sweeps across the behemoth that is Dave Hender in that Falcon. And the big bangers of Australian motorsport thump the ground down into turn 2. Brian Finn and Dickey just rub mirrors there as the little white Honda, very, very low, slung to the ground. They've managed to get that thing wide and low, and that's how you like your sports sedan. Looking back down through the field now, there's the Mentone premix car of Gary Finnemore with Ben McLeod trucking on through. Here we go on board with the Maverick Performance outfit and looking to go up the inside. Car number 72 for Trico, seeing you through. Fantastic pictures as he's got Argento in there as well. So Ben just trying to pluck his way back up through this field.
Yeah, he's doing a fantastic job. Argento just ahead, as you said. Darren coming through Siberia. Long sweeping left-hander. It's curious to see the lines or the variation of lines that the drivers use. Do you want to go for a late apex to maximise your straight line speed as you come through Hayes Shed, which is a bit of a tricky right-hander? It's probably not all entirely flat for a lot of these drivers, but you'd hazard a guess with the slick tyres or a lot of aero. It just sounds like his car off in the background. That's Argento in the AU Falcon. We were just talking about him spearing off into the gravel trap. He picks up a gear and he keeps the car going. He's got more than enough momentum, and it looks like he will get back out onto the circuit, so he will play on. Meanwhile, it still rages on here for the Vic V8s as well.
Gone safety
and
car.
We've gone... Yes,
I would suggest
yellow
that's
flags.
for Argento, that car. We heard the tyres protesting off the back of that camera. The microphone picked it up as we see the cars just coming down onto the straight. They will fall in behind the safety cars. So, the Groove Train Eastland Victorian Sports Sedans, for the moment, nullified whilst we have a collection out there on track for the Argento AU Falcon. I'm suggesting it's that. It's actually not. It's down
there's someone
at turn
else.
4 where there's been a bit of a melee down there. Is that the auto cure car down there of, is that Mark Kakuri?
Yes, it could be. Just having a look at the timing screen to see if we can pick up who's missing from...
Well, so far
Kakuri
it says
looks like
Brett Dickey isn't there, but Brett's definitely
Oh, and have a
in the
look
mix.
at the mess on the track there, Darren. So there's a huge amount of stones from the gravel trap that's been thrown out onto the circuit, and especially with that left-hander coming over Lukey Heights. It's unsighted by the drivers, especially when you're sitting particularly low in these cars, and they're rather low to the ground as well. As you come up over the crest, it's extremely hard to spot stuff like that on the circuit, and you can still see there's some stones falling out the back of the Argento panels. AU Falcon, the number 10 car. We saw a few AU Falcons in the race previous during the saloon cars. Now here's a replay of that incident. Argento's completely on his own before he spears off there, so you dare say cold tyres under that AU Falcon, and it's rotated ends on him as he's speared into the gravel trap, but thankfully he's able to get the car back out onto the circuit. But we did see just how much gravel there is on the circuit for the hardworking officials to pick up. And while we're on the topic of hardworking officials, we have to say big thanks to the officials, especially this weekend. We've had mixed weather conditions. It's been cold.
Well, they're now reaching for the sunscreen.
Well, yes, exactly right. It's been wet, it's been cold, now it's sunny. So, as you say, reaching for the sunscreen. They work tirelessly taking the orders and the commands from race control, but they also feed information back to race control as well. So, it's a synergy of teamwork between race control, and it looks like the Adrian Reed Mini that's come unstuck down there at turn 4. So, sorry for picking out something that's off the screen, but unfortunately the Mini that made a lightning start in yesterday's race under wet conditions has unfortunately retired from this race, and there you can see he's been towed by the officials as we were talking about before. So as we said, big thanks to all the volunteers, all the officials who are working for Motorsport Australia here this weekend. Big thanks to the competitors, big thanks to the teams, the drivers, the fans that have come out this weekend, the families that have also come to support the guys and girls behind the wheel as well. And it looks like the safety car's pulled into the pit lane, so we're going to get this one back underway almost immediately, Darren. Fantastic stuff.
Have a look at this. Dean Cam's gone early and he's gone hard as well, trying to hammer home any advantage he has got with that magnificent Corvette. And he is thumping down the straight. Johnny Polito after him. Brett Dickey. He's got the medium turbo setting on there. About 20 pounds of boost is what he runs on that car on a medium setting. He is not willing to flick it up the next switch up and give it an extra bootful before Island Magic at the end of the year, eyeing off the 50k plate. And why wouldn't you? This has been a magnificent build process to watch this car over quite a few years now. But Brett Dickey driving the wheels off car number 29 up the back of a V8. And he is doing everything he possibly can. He must get sick of breathing the fumes of the V8s. Looks to the inside, uses the advantage of the Honda, ducks back in. Francois Habib also ducking in there. So Ippolito, he'll be going, where is that little white and yellow car?
Look how low it is. You can basically barely see it over the rear boot of the VX Commodore, and they're pretty hard to see out the back. If you haven't driven a VX Commodore before, whenever you look out the rear mirror, it's extremely hard to see through the rear window.
And you've got a whole lot of bar work
exactly
and a wing
right.
in the way as well.
Yeah, throw a wing at it while you're at it. But the very low prelude there, very hard to see. There's a great battle here between one of the Vic V8 entries. It's the number 5 car of Ramsey.
David Ramsey.
In the McLeod Ford car race. It looks like it's raced in period. It looks absolutely gorgeous, but he is being hounded by the car of Monday, I think it is, in a number 16 entry just behind here. So it's Vic V8s versus Sports Sedans. We've got a V8 and we've also got a different power plant. Sorry, just distracting myself from that one. Ben McLeod up the inside now of the Kmart entry. A nice easy pass up the inside. Here's a great angle once again as we go back to the live in-car pictures being brought to you by Trico here this weekend. Now here's Hender in that XY Falcon that Darren has referenced so many times this weekend, obviously, as McLeod comes charging down the main straight underneath the Qatar Airways bridge and into turn 1.
It just seems so unlikely to see the Pierstyle Electric Falcon running with these other cars, that there's detail taken in the aero, whereas the Falcon's just running in its early 70s aero package. It's what it was dealt back in the day, and doing a terrific job. When you see Mark Kukuri in behind here as well, a tribute car to the Kmart entry, Lap of the Gods car of Greg Murphy in there as well.
Absolutely, and it's very topical coming up to Bathurst week next week. Fantastic time of the year when we've got the 1000 coming up. And there's Chaz Talbot also featuring in the back. You can see in the tail end of that shot as well, all over the back of David Ratcliffe in that Commodore.
So Chas has made his way from the rear of the grid up to 10th spot here, an absolute veteran of Australian motorsport, loves coming to the racetrack. It's his happy place, and why wouldn't you do so? This Camaro looks to go wide around, and Chas is setting it up there at the moment to get on Kukuri and Ratcliffe, and gets through on the 51 of Ratcliffe around the back of the track here. So he's obviously got the Camaro working beautifully. He looped it in the wet earlier today, and when you're trying to put all that horsepower down to the ground like he does inside Kukuri here, Space Frame Sports Sedan just slips on by the number 39 car, still in its body kit from the Commodore Cup racing days, which is essentially how the Vic V8 series got going after the Commodore Cup demise of that category. They still had a lot of cars around, they still needed a place to race, and I got to say, mixing it up with the sports sedans has been a fantastic result for this both these championships here this year. Ground thumping as our leaders come down through the bottom end of the racetrack. There's John Ippolito and David Ratcliffe in behind him there as well. So Ippolito, sorry, no, that's Brian Finn. Sorry about that. Ippolito, Finn, McLeod, and that is 3, 4, and 5 on the road at the moment. And Vella parked up there as well. So that's one of the Vic V8 cars parked up off the side of the road. That's Gary Vella in the number 57 coming down the pit entry road. Didn't quite make it all the way into the lane.
No, unfortunately not, and rather pragmatically pulled it up on the pit entry, so it shouldn't be too hard for race control and the hard-working officials to retrieve that car, so we shouldn't have too much of a delay in terms of getting that car ready. Now, I had a bit of a hard-stopping moment before, Darren, because I saw the car of Brett Dickey dropping down the timing screen, but you can indeed see that he's still out there circulating in the number 29 Honda Prelude, so that might be just a timing error with the Dorian in that Prelude, but he's still out there and circulating. Flying the flag for the turbocharged 4-pot Honda enthusiasts out there, and doesn't that car look absolutely spot on? It's almost Japanese JGTC-esque in its makeup, and doesn't it sound brilliant? And he's still keeping within an arm's length of Dean Cam, so Dean Cam can't quite settle into the race like we've seen so many times before over the many, many years, the long legacy of Dean Cam racing in Victorian Sports Sedans. He can't quite rest on his laurels just yet because Brett Dickie is handing all over the back of him. You could hazard a guess that Dickie is pressing on as hard as he possibly can. Meanwhile, Francois Habib on screen at the moment, currently sitting in position 3. He reckons the 5-litre power plant underneath that Dodo Commodore has got almost 700 horsepower, so it's a little bit more than it had when it was racing in period in the V8 Supercars Championship back in 2006. Have a go at the flames being thrown out of the side of Cam's car.
Ah, yeah, Dean Cam just lighting up the barbecue, giving the kids at home exactly what they want. We want flames out of race cars. As Dave Stillwell said, they go 5% faster when you're ripping flames out the side of them.
Yeah, it shaves up a couple of tenths, that's for sure.
Heats up the competition, that's what it definitely does. This is a good battle here. We're having this rage. Now this is the 44, and we've got Arthur Van also. That's Pete Owen in the blue Falcon there, and Gary Finnemore. Gary now up inside the 15, so he's heading back towards his happy home spot in the outright, but it puts him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th in the big V8s, and I can count to 9.
Good work, Darren.
Proof of both.
Yeah, we can count on you counting during a broadcast. Fantastic
Imagine
stuff.
if I run out of fingers.
Yep, get your toes out. So here's number 44, the Commodore. Looks like another former Commodore Cup car there. As you said, it's a perfect platform for a lot of cars that used to race in a series that catered for these exact type of vehicles. But Vic V8's actually... we've got
Aiden
someone off
Munga
there.
coming up the return road there for turn 4. So new guy this season into Sports Sedans, V8 powered Nissan, doing a good job. Bit of an LS crate motor slung on board there. Have a look at this. Chas Talbot just getting through the breeze very, very nicely in the Camaro. He's up to 6th place, started rear of grid, slips on by Ben McLeod there in the Maverick Performance entry, Mambo Racing Products, and gets on through. Looks like Finn is the next one in behind there, so he's fighting as well. So Chas Talbot is now up to position number 5. What's the gap between 5 and Ippolito? It's quite a decent one. It's about 15, 16 seconds. So, whoa, the Commodore's getting side by side there. Has Ben McLeod got out of it?
Has he got a drama?
I think he has.
It's been a topsy-turvy weekend, as we said, Darren, for Ben McLeod. He's clouded the wall at turn 1 during Friday practice, and then earlier today he ran on the grass and actually tagged the wall ever so slightly on the back of that car. They were very fast to assess the car and determine that they were going to get it back out there for this race, but unfortunately it is not on song. It is not on the pace that we've seen so far to see him being able to charge up to position 5. But now that car appears to be hampered. So here's Ippolito now. Talbot's closed that gap rather quickly. So I don't... Oh, Talbot! He's lost it on the gravel. He keeps clear of Ippolito. And that's at over Lukey Heights. Chas Talbot, that hasn't been a happy hunting ground for him in that particular part of the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. The number 12 Camaro. And very luckily able to keep the car going, because we know just how slippery it is on the grass, especially when you're trying to spin up a set of slick tyres on a rear-wheel drive thoroughbred sports sedan.
He's only lost 2 spots there, so Chas has managed to loop it, and they got that much of a gap over the rest of the field. So we've now run out of time in this one, waiting for Dean Cam to come around to get that last lap board, readying that last lap board for our race leader as they crest the top of the hill. That's Gary Finnemore, Mentone Premix of the championship round sponsor for the Vic V8s, and he's emblazoned up the side of his XA Coupe, the ex-Eddie Albanica car, and Ben McLeod is just motoring around now. He knows he's run out of time. He's just got to complete this next lap and drag some points in. Wow, Callum, the 2 guys that were the rock stars down here in June in both Travis Condon and Ben McLeod have just had a horrible sort of couple of races here this weekend. Travis Condon will drop out of contention at the top of the points table. Dean Cam will hammer home a really big result here this weekend, and it will change the complexity of the points at the top of the table. Don't ask me what they are, but they were very close coming into this weekend. I would suggest that Dean Cam has now got himself a handy lead going into the last lap of this race and heading into the last couple of events of the year. Of course, the championship for the Victorian Sports Sedans continues on to the 50k plate at Island Magic at the end of November.
Great move around the outside there for Gary Finnemore in the Mentone Premix concrete car. Around the outside of Arthur Van Orso in the Commodore at the
Ben
Southern
McLeod chooses
Loop.
to come in, so
he's
doesn't
parked
finish
it.
the race.
So that's unfortunate. It was good on him to try and press on. It looks like he's just run ever so slightly wide, so he's actually on the exit road coming out of turn 4. So he's still in this race. Will he take the checkered flag? He's in a race of his own to try and get to the end. Gary Finnemore hasn't got his work wrapped up just yet. He's still got Van Orso just behind him in the Commodore, who's trying to get redemption after losing out on that position at the Southern Loop at the Mentone Premix Concrete Falcon. He's got a much more modern Falcon ahead of him as he's trying to close down the gap as they come through Lukey Heights, where it looks like the stones are being cleared up. Small thanks to Chaz Talbot for clearing the way.
Being a bit of a sweep.
But here is the race leader, Dean Cam, negotiating his way through lap traffic. Yes, in such a short race, such is the pace of the car of Cam as it spits out fire once again. The number 66 comes through turns 10, 11 and 12 to take out his third, or potentially he's on track to take his third race win of the weekend, Darren.
I tell you what is a telling tale. Brett Dickey in P number 2, a 1:36.82 on lap number 8. But our race winner, and 3 from 3, will be a very happy 5-star fencer. And that will be Dean Cam, brings the result home. Brett Dickey looks pretty happy with himself as well. I'm sure his dashboard is telling him that a 1:36.82 is a really cool lap in your family-built Honda Prelude sports sedan. Full space frame, turbocharged, 4-cylinder. That is a great result. Greg Lynch trying to drag something out of this weekend. Power steering problems plagued him earlier on in this weekend, and these two are absolutely going for it. Kukuri and Lynch trying to get a result in the Vic V8s. Lynch trying to get a result in both Sports Sedans and Vic V8s. And he is absolutely making that Commodore as wide as he possibly can. The yellow light auto cue on number 39, not being able to find a way past. They set themselves the run to the flag. Greg Lynch swerves over to the left-hand side of the track and across the line, just holds out Mark Kukuri to the push to the line.
Fantastic. Doesn't that car of Lynch sound absolutely beautiful? Here comes Hender across the line in the big, heavy Falcon as well. He makes his way home in position 9, and that is effectively 3rd position in class for the Vic V8s. So that's gone by rather quickly, Darren. As fast
they go a lot quicker at the dry,
as
don't
fast
they?
as the race starts, it's almost finished. So yeah, as you say, a lot quicker in the dry. So here's confirmation of the results on screen for you right now. Dean Cam, the winner of race 3 of the Sports Sedans and Victorian V8s, ahead of Brett Dickey. Francois Habib home in position 3, caps off his weekend with a podium position. A great effort there from Francois Habib. Johnny Polito in position 4 ahead of Brian Finn. Chaz Talbot home in position 6 after a few spins this weekend. He'll be wrapped with that result. Greg Lynch, good thing he's a dentist. He'll be smiling like a Cheshire cat in position 7. Mark Kukuri, David Hender and David Ratcliffe in the number 51 Kmart entry, rounding out the top 10.
Very big thank you to the Groove Train Eastland for their support right throughout this season. Vince Stenter and his crew there. Get down to the Groove Train Eastland and have yourself a lovely feed. I'm not going to say have a lovely feed at QP Lubes, but feed your beloved mechanical equipment something from QP Lubes and protect your interiors with a bit of National Blind Supplies down there on the South Gippsland Highway in Dandenong.